Welcome. Today's scale-up story, I'm joined by Sam from Rule 28, a cycling apparel business. So Sam, tell us a bit about the product and what you do.
Thanks for having me. So Rule 28, our company, is a high-performance aerodynamic cycling apparel company, ranging from our first and sort of most notable product being aero socks. Sounds a bit strange, but for sort of 25, 28 pounds, you get the same performance benefit as people would traditionally look for from a deep section aero wheel set, which could be £3,000 to £4,000. So the gain that you can get from your clothing is really significant.
And how did the business start? Where did the idea come from?
It started off from the idea, so aerodynamic skin suits are quite common. They've been around for a long time in cycling, and there's a lot of work that's been done into the right fabrics to use on the upper arm, because this is a really unaerodynamic shape. So as it moves through the air, it creates a lot of drag. The thinking behind the aero socks, our first products, were the upper arm and lower leg from what the air sees. It's basically a big tube that moves through the air. So what works on the upper arm, which has been tried and tested for years, should work even better on the lower leg, meaning your shin and calf muscle, it's bigger for a cyclist usually than your upper arm. But no one had done it.
And were you into cycling at the time? Was something you found through?
Yes. So at the time, I was sort of at the lower ends of the serious levels of cycling in the UK. I'd say sort of third division football would be the comparison. So better than your average weekend warrior, racing fairly seriously at the UK and European level, but not a professional. But the interest in the clothing and sort of what I could do to get faster myself was there as well.
Yeah. And the clothing's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of technology. You see, like you said, wheels, you see a lot of titanium, carbon fiber bits and bytes. How much impact does the clothing have versus the actual weight?
Oh, it's huge. So in cycling, unless you're climbing a very, very steep mountain, the aerodynamic drag is about 80 to 85% of your...
Oh, wow. So it's a big...
Yeah. Cycling on the flat, weight could be 5%-ish, and the remainder would be rolling resistance or mechanical drag from your chain and gears and pulley wheels, things like that.
So you'd had this idea then that, we could take the technology and the stuff from the clothing art and move. So what made, when did you get the point to go, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to manufacture? And you do a lot of research as well. There's a lot of technical background research you do, which we'll discuss in a bit. But, what made you start a business?
Sure. It was really... There was no intention of it being a business really at the beginning. We had the idea for aero socks. We got 4 prototypes made. They weren't very good in comparison to what we've got now, but they worked. A friend of mine and his team were racing the British track championships. They've got quite an interesting story. It's a sort of cobbled together group of friends taking on the sort of big GB back squats. And we gave them to that, and they went on to win the British Track Championship.
Due to the socks, obviously.
Oh, I wouldn't put it all that, but they definitely helped.
Yeah.
And from that, there were quite a few sort of eyebrows raised because they're very different from what people had usually seen from a sock. Before then, a sock was a sock in cycling. And we had 4 pairs. There was no plan to really sort of make any more.
So just 4, you literally had those?
Just those 4, yes. But then friends and people you knew started getting in contact saying, where can I get some? I thought, okay, we only have these 4, but going back to them saying, would you like to pre-order one? And getting quite a lot of interest, and sort of got a few people together, enough money to make sort of 4 or 5 times as many as we had pre-ordered, or got in through pre-order.
Yeah.
Went back to our manufacturer, bought the first batch, and it sort of spiraled from there. And for the first year and a half, I didn't really know what I was doing. So we are out of stock more than in stock. I'm trying to
although that's very great news in a way. Frustrating, I'm sure, but
frustrating, but I mean, it's very good to know that there is a demand for it. And it was hitting the ground running, learning about clothing. Really, it hadn't been my wheelhouse before. I studied architecture at university, so it was a giant first for me.
And it's worth saying, I think it's one of the first bits of clothing I've seen where there's so much technical data there's so much wind tunnel testing. I can't think of many products in. You see all these, aero helmets and stuff, but there's very few that actually have the data from wind tunnel testing for the public to go and build on the website. Was that a conscious decision to go to that level?
Yeah. So whilst I don't cycle as much now, when the company was founded and the ethos behind it was, I want this company to be what I would like to buy from. So in cycling, there's a huge amount of emphasis put on testing and getting faster. But when you look at most companies and you try and dig into what they've done, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you might get each year a statement from a marketing department saying,
it's 5% faster than last year.
Yeah.
It's not really good.
Show me. And you go, no. So it's 95% waffle from a marketing department with 5% of the data that they may have cherry picked.
Yeah.
I wanted to flip it around and go, okay, it's 95% of the data and there's 5% of marketing to make it understand.
What's been the reaction from customers to that?
Really good. I think it's trustworthy, and you see a lot of people then buying into the new products that we've brought out because you will get the trust from, okay, here's what they did with the last one. They've come up with something new. Even if you're not necessarily the most technical minded person, you can trust in the fact that the data is all on the website so that we're not hiding anything that we are confident with.
And I think that's something from Jake's judgment resonates really strongly myself. We've always been, it's a film business, like very much about actually let's get the data, let's show the data, to clients, to customers, everything that actually, the proof's in the data, isn't it? It's not all about the marketing and everything else. So on that journey then, you've got lots more product out, haven't you? It's not just socks.
No, it was socks to begin with. Relatively easy to make, easy to test. It's quite simple. Things like skin suits took a lot more money and time to develop. So the past 4 or 5 years, pretty much everything that has been made in the company has been reinvested into R&D, into new product. The latest and greatest of our products is something called an aero base layer. It's a different sort of technology from what we use in the aero socks, but it is designed to help you reduce your drag in a similar way, but a slightly more advanced way.
This is something that's underneath the outer layer, isn't it? That changes the contours, doesn't so I'm an engineer, so I'll get all this, but probably some of the people listening to it will be lost, but changes the way the suit shapes the air, doesn't it?
Yes. So traditionally, if you look at our socks or traditional sort of skin suits, you'll have a textured sleeve of some sort.
Yeah.
This fabric is designed to energize a boundary layer of air and trip it so it turns turbulent, and this will reduce the pressure drag created by a body moving through the air. So if you think, for anybody else, if you stuck your hand out the window of a car, pushes you back. This is called pressure drag. So there is a high pressure area in front of it, a low pressure area behind it. The net effect is that it's sucking your arm backwards.
Yeah.
The aero base layer does the same thing as a normal textured fabric would, but in a slightly more advanced way. It kind of works as a smart material. So there is a structure underneath the outer layer of your skin suit, which will push into the smooth arm of the fabric. This kind of creates, if you imagine sort of what a suspension bridge would look like, so 2 piers and then a cable running in between. Same sort of shape, but then the smart material comes in for the faster you go, the greater the difference in pressure. So it's going to push in more, and that curve will get greater. In an area of low pressure, less force on it, and it will act smoother. So it's kind of a smart material in that way.
And for those people that have got a similar idea, want to take it, what's been the biggest challenges in taking the product to market?
I suppose the main thing really is how you sort of get your message out there.
Yeah.
So you can have a great idea, but if no one knows about it, very hard to.
Yeah, and someone's going to have a terrible idea. If you get out there enough, people still end up.
There are plenty of terrible ideas that work as well. There are some terrible ideas with great marketing that actually end up being great products as well. Stuff that doesn't really make any sense. I don't know if you've seen this company called Liquid Death.
No, I've not. No.
It's water in a can.
Yeah.
Yet its market cap now is something like close to $1 billion,
right?
Just because it's an interesting looking can.
Yeah.
It looks like an energy drink. but it's water.
It's just water. And if they know it, they sell it as just water.
Yeah, there's no pretense about it being anything else. It's just marketing.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
So
But an excellent idea at the same time.
So in your, what's been the turnaround points and what's the bits in marketing that worked really well to get this brand off the ground?
I think it was a disadvantage of ours that also turned out to be an advantage. So it started off, as I said, with just 4 socks, 4 pairs of socks. But the people that we put those socks on turned out to be very good. And then the next round of people that bought into it were people that had seen them physically. So these were people racing at the very high end of cycling, international track cyclists. So we didn't have a budget for marketing, so we didn't go and do a fancy photo shoot.
So this is kind of influence marketing, but in a very niche
professional way. So yeah, basically all of the first year's photos that we had for social media were, look at this world champion on the track wearing them, look at this international team wearing them. So it was sort of very high trust individuals wearing them at the highest level.
And is that still, is that influence marketing, is that still a very strong route to market for you?
Yes, it's a bit of a tense point in cycling because there's influencer marketing is taking hold now, and that's having quite a serious detrimental effect on the sponsorship money available for teams.
Right.
But I've been on both sides of this, and I'm sponsoring a couple of riders who are more of the influencer sort. Yeah, it's not a full team, but they are riders that will race at high levels, but produce a lot of content themselves.
Yeah.
And very good for me, but I don't know where it leaves the sport.
I guess this is the challenge, in the early days, when you start this influence less of a thing. So, you give them a great product, they go, oh, this product's great. And it's kind of very, very organic.
Yeah.
And I think now, I guess, influencing is very much it's a business activity itself, isn't it? I'll give you this if you do this many posts, and it becomes much more of a business transaction.
Yeah, it's very transactional.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. It does feel sort of quite cold and calculating. But then when you see the analytics behind sort of what this brings, okay, this is why everybody's doing it. It does work very well.
Yeah.
So yes, that's something that has driven a lot of growth in the last sort of 18 months. One of the main influencers came to me first as a customer. And then I saw the amount of traffic that he could drive. And then this year we've sort of actually partnered to do a proper sponsorship model for him.
But what's the moment you think, you had this idea, you created the product. What's the point when you just sat back and thought, you know what, we've done this. Obviously there's still so much to grow and everything to do, but you really felt proud that you'd developed a new product and launched it. When was that? Do you remember that moment? Or
It only really sort of makes sense in hindsight because I still don't.
It's done. There's still more to do.
Oh yeah, there's plenty more to do. But then sort of when you look back at it, sort of each individual step, sort of in 2017 or 2018, if I'd known sort of where it was now, I'd have been ecstatic. And I am ecstatic about it. It's still going, but there is still this maybe sort of irrational dread of just going what if yesterday was it? What if it's done?
Yeah.
Nothing else happens now.
And the customer base are global, I take it. This isn't just a UK market.
Yeah, so it's interestingly, the last 12 months has flipped predominantly US.
Okay.
So the UK is now the second market. So looking to expand sort of more interest into that. It's a much bigger market. So I think in terms of market capture, it's still much smaller than the UK, but it's a huge economy. So you see the average order value and the total number of orders.
And Pro Site have their kind of, is it a bigger market than the UK? Or is it more people, I'm guessing?
It's a strange one because like a lot of US sport, I found on a sort of individual level is quite sort of scattered. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of big races out there, but the history of the sport isn't anywhere near as great. So you see the sort of Tour de France be going for sort of
a lot of history and heritage.
Hundreds of sort of iterations of it each year, and lots of different races with a lot of prestige and history behind them. There's not as much of that in the US.
Yeah.
So you sort of go like, oh, it's the 15th running of this huge race. But yeah, I think it's definitely growing sort of month on month, week on week.
US expansion is a big a big area for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you looking at getting product actually in the US to ship locally?
Yes, I think so. Sort of now it makes a lot more sense just because the timing to get out there and just the sort of turnaround people there expect things quickly.
Yeah.
Not quite as quickly as here. I think if you compare Amazon US to Amazon UK, their Prime could be sort of 2-day shipping, but ours is 1-day shipping. But
yeah, I mean,
it's
America's
still
a much bigger country, so it's always much bigger, but I guess that it's still, not the same shipping by it to the US.
Yeah. I mean, there's sort of, if you have to wait sort of 10, 15 days for things to arrive, more annoying than if you have to wait 2 or 3 days.
And have you got a US website that's separate now? Are you actually putting that, US spelling? I don't know how much there is in the industry, but do you have a US site specifically?
So the website is based on Shopify, which I think vast majority of sort of e-commerce businesses of all shapes and sizes use. I mean, Gymshark is on Shopify as well, so you can go up to hundreds of millions in turnover, right down to sort of first starting out using the same platform. They have a sort of territory identifier for your IP address. So if you go onto rule28.com from the US, a little pop-up goes, oh, it looks like you're shopping from the US. Do you want to shop in dollars? And if you could, yes, all the...
Just one of the things we've definitely seen from other platforms, that having that, it looking more like it's an American, not necessarily American product, an American, it's in America, you can buy it from America. It just gives people a lot more confidence to buy.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, great. And what's for the future?
So in cycling, there's the mixture of sort of stock off the shelf kit and custom wear. So if you are part of a team, obviously the sport races in your own team colours, sponsors into this. So started doing a small bit of this, but that's a big push for the next 2 years or so, is to really push into that market. Because again, from my point of view, it's quite easy. Say if I'm going to do an order for someone, they pick socks over shoes, training wear, race wear. It's all done in one go and can all ship to them.
And that's bespoke to their team colours, everything, so they can.
Yes.
And I guess that also helps the marketing side. And people, it looks a lot more professional. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Sam, for joining us today. It's been fantastic to hear the story. I wish you all the best for the future.
Thanks very much.